Guys, today we're talking about the upcoming awesome news regarding the Tamron 150-500 F5-6.7. A little bit weird, but it's something that we've all been waiting for quite a long time. And by all of us, I mean people on a budget looking to get into wildlife or birding, and that doesn't break the bank for Sony E-mount cameras. No more adapting your old 150-600 from Canon mount or Nikon mount. Although it did do the job for some time, it just doesn't compare to the native experience, which are growing more and more all the time. We've got the new Sigma 100-400, we've got the old G Master 100-400, and of course we've got the big old 200-600. So having something right in the middle with, the newest tech, the fastest focusing motors, that'd be something that'd be really good. So we're diving in to see what we actually know about this thing. We've got a brochure, we've had a leak and a little teaser come out at the same time. So we do have some concrete specs, everything pretty much but the price on this guy. But given having a look at all those specs like we will here in a second, we can probably get a pretty good idea about what this thing's gonna cost. So let's jump in and have a look. I'm pretty excited, I hope you are too. Let's check it out. Okay, so we're diving in and having a look at what this thing's all about here. It's a 150-500mm F5-6.7, and for me that's not too appetizing. That's a little bit slow, obviously, for an outdoor wildlife lens. You're probably going to be way out at 500mm for the most part, but I'm really not too concerned about that, just because, well, for the budget and what you can expect this thing to cost, it's probably right on. And our cameras these days are incredible in low light. Every year they're getting better and better, so you can pump up that ISO and really not have to worry about it. This thing is also image stabilized, of course, so you're going to be able to shoot in lower light and in lower shutter speeds and still get some decent footage. Now, its autofocus is going to probably be on par with everything else that Tamron's bringing out these days, which is absolutely incredible. The linear focus motors that are driving the 70-180 and all of their new stuff is going to be thrown into this, and their algorithms are absolutely incredible. And a lot of the times I find even faster than the native Sony stuff coming out. It's just insane. So they're doing a great job at keeping these lenses budget friendly without sacrificing too much performance. And at the same time, you get a great warranty with all of Tamron's products. But as we jump in here looking at a few more things, again, image stabilization is going to be a huge benefit, especially when you're out shooting late at night if you're birding. And do keep in mind here, this is a 500mm Tamron lens. It's not going to be compatible with the teleconverters from Sony. So if you are a birder, you want as much reach as possible, you can of course throw it into crop mode, but it's not going to be compatible with the teleconverters that you're going to use with the 100-400 G Master or the 200-600. And if you're considering that Sigma 100-400, also you're not going to have that option either. So that's one of the downsides of choosing one of the, of course, third-party lenses here. But overall, let's have a look next at some of the physical characteristics. It does come with a Arca Swiss compatible tripod mount, which is really nice. It's got a zoom lock switch. Of course, I really hope that it's well weather sealed. It's got a fluorine coating, and it looks like they've actually gone ahead and put in some decent stuff as far as glass. They've got hybrid aspherical lens elements, and they're really pushing optical quality here. So that's going to be determined when we get this thing in our hands, of course. And like I mentioned, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join me for my full in-depth review as soon as I get my hands on this thing. So other than that, it's built with mirrorless and for mirrorless, of course, finally for the Sony E-mount cameras. It's going to be great at utilizing Sony's eye autofocus, and it does have camera-based lens firmware updates, so you don't need a dock or anything annoying like you did with some of the older stuff. So let's look at some of the physical stuff, the traits. It is a 150-500, not 600, so there is a little bit of loss there. Its maximum aperture f5-6.7. We've noticed a little bit funny there of that number, but again, it's all about the engineering to keep this size down, and it looks to be a great size. It's only 8 inches long, which is pretty darn impressive for what this thing is. That's probably going to be the smallest 500mm lens available, no doubt. Now, its minimum focus distance here is variable. It looks pretty good on the wide side, about just under 2 feet, but on the telephoto side, it's definitely nothing special, out at 71 inches. The filter thread size, they've finally deviated from their 67mm lineup to give us 82mm filter thread, so quite a bit bigger than what you're used to here. If you do have your whole Tamron line there, do keep that in mind. And again, here at only 8.3 inches, I'm assuming that's going to be unzoomed. That's pretty darn impressive. The weight, however, is really nothing to write home about. 1,725 grams or 60.8 ounces is quite heavy. That's over, I think that's about a pound heavier than the 100-400 G Master.
But again, you can't have it all. There is give and take to every lens. It does have 7 aperture blades, so don't expect out of this world bokeh or anything like that. It's obviously not a portrait lens or anything, so it's going to do the job. But again, for the price, which we will discuss in a second, I think that's reasonable. And here's a look from the side what this thing's going to look like. Quite compact, pretty impressive if I do say so myself. And as you can see, it does have everything that you need, what you'd expect. Automatic manual focus switch, you got a zoom limiting switch, you've got your, of course, image stabilization on and off, and a mode selector switch it looks like here. So other than that, it does have a lock switch on the top. One thing that's a bit curious here for me is the button placement. They're right in the middle of between the zoom and the focus rings, and typically you really see those at the back. So I wonder if that's gonna feel kind of weird or get that kind of confused with your hand. That's to be determined. What do you think? And here's a look from the top. There's that zoom lock switch we talked about, and it would have been nice to see this thing as an internally zooming lens, but that would of course bump the price way up. That's one of the things I really love about the 200 to 600 though, just that added confidence when it comes to weather sealing. And here's an overall look at this guy. It looks pretty promising, quite compact. It looks like the throw on this thing from 150 to 500 is only about a quarter turn, so that's pretty promising. Fast target acquisition is really important when it comes to wildlife and birds and whatnot, so that's pretty cool. But let me know your thoughts on this thing. What are your pros and cons for it? As we go in and see this thing more and more about it in the coming weeks, again, I'll get my hands on it as soon as I can and do a full in-depth review. But what about the price of this thing? What do you think we can expect to see out of this guy based on everything that we've kind of gone over? For me, the Sigma 100 to 400 is going to be its biggest comparable and competition, and in around $900 US, I think the Tamron should and needs to beat that. I think $799 to $849 is really going to be the sweet spot where this lens sells a ton. But what do you think?
So there you have it, guys. There's my thoughts on the new upcoming Tamron 150-500 F5-6.7. So if you did enjoy this video and you want to see more, just like if you want to see my full in-depth review on this thing coming up, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, join the community, and like always, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See you next time.